Well, hello, friends. It's so good to see you at another webinar for the Public and International Service Advisor Network. As many of you know, my name is Carmen Mazzara. I serve as Executive Director of APSIA, the Association of Professional Schools of International Affairs. In addition to being the home and community for graduate schools of international affairs worldwide, we are so proud to be the host and the home of the Public and International Service Advisor Network. We are delighted to bring to you today a webinar about the many opportunities under the Gilman Scholarship umbrella. And our colleagues from IIE will be able to talk to you about all of the different programs that they have under that broader Gilman McCain and STEM umbrella that they have, growing empire that they're building. If you have any technical issues as we go through the session, please let me or my wonderful colleague Brittany Chor know about those. If you have any questions for our speakers, we'll be happy to see those in the chat throughout. And then particularly at the end, we'll be able to take and answer any of those issues that come up or burning questions that you have so that you can be of best service to your students. This session, as many of you know, is part of a longer series that we have to be of service to you all. So I also hope you'll plan to join us at those events throughout the fall that we've got going on. In particular, next week, September 14th, we'll be having a similar conversation about the Boren program. So I invite you to come on back to that one and to all of our other sessions that we have that we put out through our Friday emails that you receive from me every week. With that, I'm going to turn the floor over to our colleague Caroline to get us started. And again, I invite you to put your questions in the chat. This is really a great time for you to learn as much as you can about this wonderful program to bring it to your students. So Caroline, please.
Thanks so much, Carmen. Yes, I'm Caroline Petty. I'm the Institutional Relations Specialist for the Gilman program, which essentially means I'm the main contact for the advisor community. So I'm the perfect person for you all to ask questions today. I've been on the Gilman program for almost 9 years now, so I've gotten to see a tremendous amount of growth. And the program's just constantly evolving. And one message that we always like to send to the advisor community is a lot of our growth stems from advisor feedback. We truly listen to all of your comments, questions, concerns. And for those of you who may have been around for a bit, you've probably seen some of those changes implemented. So we always just thank you for participating in panels, helping your students with their applications, certifications, all that good stuff. So today, and I'll share my screen. Today, I'm going to be providing, like Carmen said, an overview of the Gilman program and all that it encompasses. So the Benjamin A. Gilman Scholarship is a program of the U.S. Department of State with funding provided by the U.S. government, and it has been administered by IIE since the program's inception in 2001. The Gilman program has become the largest U.S. undergrad scholarship program, supporting U.S. students of high financial need to participate in study abroad programs and international internships. So here's our agenda for today. I'll go over the eligibility for the Gilman program and, of course, how important the deadlines and timelines are. And after I provide an overview, we'll actually get to hear from a Gilman alumni ambassador who participated in a study abroad program in Spain this year. And she'll get to share more about her Gilman experience as well as where it's taken her today. And then there will also be time for live questions at the end of our presentation. Okay, so let's just dive right into the Gilman program and eligibility requirements. So the Gilman Scholarship is sponsored by the Bureau of Educational and Cultural Affairs, or ECA, and the U.S. Department of State. ECA leads a wide range of academic, professional, and cultural exchanges with the goal of increasing mutual understanding and respect between the people of the US and the people of other countries. So I highly recommend going to those websites that you see listed on the screen here to learn more information. And this slide just demonstrates the impact. This data is from the academic year 2021 to 2022. The Gilman program continues to support students traditionally underrepresented in study abroad, So in that academic year, over half of Gilman recipients were first-generation college students, 66% represented racial or ethnic minority groups, and 69% of students came from rural or small towns. And since the program's inception in 2001, Gilman has supported over 41,000 US undergrads of high financial need to study and intern abroad in more than 160 countries. And Gilman scholars represent over 1,300 US institutions. So these numbers continue to grow every year, which is really exciting to see. For the entire academic year, we will award over 3,000 scholarships, and this includes all of our awards. So the Gilman McCain Scholarship, which I'll get to in just a moment, all of the awards associated with our global partnerships, and more information on our website for that too. And so recipients can receive up to $5,000, and this can be applied towards their program costs, tuition and fees, room and board, airfare, passport, visa costs. We all know how quickly those expenses add up. Funds are issued directly to students. I think that's always important to emphasize. Award amounts will vary depending on student need, strength of the application, and program costs. And here you see on the slide that students can apply the scholarship toward a fall, spring, summer, winter, or academic year term program. So basically any term. Okay, so moving into the Critical Need Language Award. This is a supplemental award for the Gilman program. It's built in within the online application, so it's not an entirely separate application. But if you have a student who is studying one of the languages listed here on the screen, they can apply for a supplemental award of up to $3,000. So that means they could have a combined total of up to $8,000. So these are the languages that are eligible for this award. They would simply indicate in the application that they're studying one of these languages, and if they select yes, that they want to apply for CNLA, they will need to submit an additional essay, and I'll get to all of the required essays in just a moment. But this is a great opportunity. If you have a student who's studying one of these languages, there's certainly no risk in applying. It's a very competitive award, but even if a student applies for the CNLA and they're not selected, they can still receive Gilman award, the regular Gilman scholarship. So it's not an all or nothing. But we certainly want to encourage students studying these languages to apply for the supplemental award. And this new supplemental award is brand new as of this application cycle. So in support of the CHIPS and Science Act of 2022, the STEM Supplemental Award is available for both Gilman and Gilman McCain applicants. It provides up to $1,000 in additional funds for students conducting STEM-related research abroad as part of their study abroad or international internship program. And this is very similar to the CNLA that I just went over. There is an additional essay if they want to be considered for the supplemental award. However, it's quite short. It's only it's a maximum of 1,000 characters. And honestly, our eligibility criteria is quite simple. This is a brand new award. We want to be as open and flexible as possible. We want to understand the interest level. So simply conducting STEM-related research abroad as part of their program, they're encouraged to apply for this award. And they'll indicate in the application, there's a spot where they'll enter the total program costs for their study abroad program or international internship, and this would include any anticipated research cost. So this is very exciting. It's brand new. I know there's a lot of questions regarding this award, so I'm happy to take those when we get to the Q&A. And arguably most important is Gilman eligibility. So our eligibility criteria has stayed pretty consistent over the years, but just know that there's not a lot of wiggle room. So I think the first step with students is making sure that they meet all of this eligibility criteria, because we certainly don't want them to go through all of the efforts of applying when they're not even eligible. So first, they must be a US citizen or national. They can be in the process, the naturalization process, as long as they will be naturalized before their abroad program starts. They must be a current undergrad student in good standing. And then the biggest, they must be receiving the federal Pell Grant either now at the time of their Gilman application, let's say they're applying for the current application that's open, or when they plan to study abroad. As long as they are receiving the Pell Grant at one of those two times, they're definitely eligible for Gilman. And this is a State Department funded program, so the program needs to be taking place in a country or area with an overall travel advisory of level 1 or 2. So you can go to the State Department website to just confirm the travel advisory level if you're unsure about a student's program. And Gilman scholarship recipients, they can only receive the scholarship once. However, they can apply as many times as they'd like. We have many students who apply several times before they're selected, or we have students who have to decline the award for a variety of reasons. And they're always welcome to reapply as well, as long as they still meet all of these same eligibility requirements. Okay, and then moving into McCain. So the Gilman-McCain Scholarship is a few years old now. We launched it just before the pandemic. And so the U.S. Department of State's Gilman-McCain Scholarship provides awards of $5,000 for child or spousal dependents of active United States military personnel. So this eligibility criteria that you see on this slide is pretty similar to what you just saw for the Gilman program. There's just two main differences. One being that the applicant needs to be a dependent of active military. And the second major difference being that they can be the recipient of any type of Title IV federal financial aid. It does not necessarily have to be the federal Pell Grant. If they are receiving the federal Pell Grant and they are a dependent, perfect. They're eligible for McCain. And similar to kind of what I was saying with CNLA, if you have a student that meets this criteria, please encourage them to apply. It's a flat $5,000 award for all of those who are selected. It's, it's a great opportunity for students. I think it's pretty unique in the sense that there's not a lot of these scholarship opportunities for dependents of active military. But otherwise, all of the other eligibility requirements are the same: citizen, undergrad, travel advisory level, credit bearing program, all pretty much the same. It's just noting that there's more flexibility with the financial aid requirement and that they must meet that dependent status. They will actually have to upload a copy of their dependent ID to the application if they select that they are applying for Gilman-McCain. Okay, and then moving in briefly into the partnerships that I mentioned briefly a second ago, this list is continuing to grow rapidly. It's really exciting to see the global partners that we're able to offer. You'll see Portugal, Wales, Israel, France, New Zealand, Germany, and on Taiwan. So what's great here is there is no separate application. So simply by indicating that they're studying and the student is studying in one of these countries in the application, they are automatically considered for a Global Partner Award. Global partners receive applications to determine their review, and then a student, when all award notifications are released, a student will be notified by their award letter that they've been selected for one of these Global Partnership Awards. But yeah, there is no separate application, which I know students love to hear, that there's no additional requirements for this. And we have more information on our website. There's the link at the bottom of this slide. Okay, and moving into deadlines and timelines. So if you're not aware, our application is currently open, the October 2023 deadline. So it opened around mid-August, and the deadline is Thursday, October 5th at 11:59 p.m. Pacific time. That is a very hard cutoff. So we always want to encourage students to submit ahead of time, but I think we all know how that goes with college students waiting until the last minute. So for those of you who may be less familiar with Gilman, we have two deadlines. Both, I would say, are equally important. We have the applicant deadline and the advisor deadline. So you'll see October 5th is the deadline for the student to submit their portion of the application. And then advisors, whoever their certifying advisors are, have until the following Thursday, October 12th, to certify. And I'll talk about what certifications mean, but basically you're confirming the information listed in the student's application. You're confirming they're eligible for Gilman, you're confirming they're receiving aid, things of that nature. And then just below, you'll see the timeline for our next application cycle. So we have two major applications each year. One will open in mid-January, one will open in mid-August. All of this information is on our website as well. So you can see as well the abroad program start dates. So for the application that is currently open, this is for students whose programs start anywhere from December 1st of 2023 this year, all the way through October 31st of 2024. So that's definitely a big change that's happened in the last few years, is opening up our date parameters for students to apply. And then you might notice there's an overlap. So the next application will be for program start dates from May 2024 all the way through April 2025. So for example, both of those cycles encompass summer 2024, which we all know summer is an extremely popular time for students to study abroad. If you're working with students now who plan to study abroad next summer, this is a great opportunity for them to have two shots at something. I would highly encourage them, if they can, get their application in by this October 5th deadline. They'll receive notification in December of whether they were selected or not. And if they were not selected, they could reapply for the March 2024 deadline. So I know that implies that the student is ahead, but I definitely think we all work with some of those go-getters that are already planning next summer. And so I really like to see students take advantage of those two opportunities, and maybe give them time to tweak their essays a little bit if they weren't selected. It certainly doesn't hurt. There's no risk in applying. It's free, and that way they'd be set up for the next cycle, and they'd be familiar with the application as well. So speaking of the application, like I mentioned, we have two major components, those two deadlines. So step one is the student's online application. It'll ask, the student needs to fill out all their abroad program information. There are 3 required essays that I'll expand on in a second, as well as if they decide to apply for those supplemental awards, the critical need language and the STEM award. The student will need to upload transcripts for their current institution, as well as any previous institutions they attended. These can be unofficial. We're very flexible there. And then students will need to select advisors in our application. So when an advisor has an active Gilman account, their name will appear in the online application, and the student will select a study abroad advisor as well as a financial aid advisor. We use those terms, or those labels, I should say, but you don't necessarily have to be a study abroad advisor at your institution. Maybe your institution doesn't even have a study abroad office. Totally fine. We have academic advisors, we have professors, various faculty and staff members that sign up to have a Gilman account. So because they're involved with their students, they're helping them with their application, they're certifying their application. And so we just use those terms or those labels to differentiate. But anyway, once the student submits their application, that's where step 2 comes in. And the advisors who were selected can then log in and confirm the information that the student entered. So moving into the essays. So the first essay is the longest, the statement of purpose. It's a maximum of 7,000 characters, so about a page and a half. And the essays are important because the reviewers, who are selection panelists, who are you all. They're advisors and administrators from across the country. They review these applications, and these essays are really their only way of getting to know the student and their reasons for studying abroad. So in the application, the Gilman program provides prompts for each essay. That being said, those essay prompts live on our website year round. So students don't need to wait until the application is open to necessarily start working on their essays. The essays represent a vast majority of the application. So it's really great if they can get a head start and maybe start working before the next application even opens. So this particular essay is essentially a personal interview. On paper, students should write about the impact of study abroad on their academic goals, professional goals, and personal growth, as well as how receiving the Gilman Award will help them accomplish these goals. They should also touch upon what inspired them to study abroad, what challenges they have faced in studying abroad, and they can describe the knowledge, skills, and experience that can be drawn on to meet challenges experienced abroad. Please keep in mind that all students applying to the Gilman program have high financial need, so we encourage students to elaborate on other challenges they may face in addition to that. The next essay is shorter. This is the Building Mutual Understanding essay, a maximum of 3,000 characters. So this essay asks students to answer how they will be a U.S. citizen diplomat, while abroad. So key aspects to this essay are how they will essentially be a U.S. representative abroad and how they're going to seek opportunities to become more culturally engaged in their host community and have meaningful interactions with people from different cultures on their abroad program. So this one definitely requires some brainstorming. And we always encourage applicants to work, utilize their resources on their campuses to talk this one out. And the last required essay is the follow-on service project proposal. So for those of you who are very familiar with Gilman, know that this has been around for quite some time. If a student is selected for the Gilman Scholarship, they are required to give back after they complete their program. So it's basically like a pay it forward type of project happening here. So when students return from their study abroad program, they have 6 months to complete their follow-on service project. And there's really two main objectives with the project: to promote the Gilman Scholarship and to promote study abroad. So backing up, the essay in the application is students outlining what that project is going to be. How are they going to carry it out? They should, identify perhaps groups on campus or within their local community that they plan to reach out to. What is their plan of action for their project? If they can provide as many details as possible, the better, right? It's only going to strengthen their application. I know with panelists, when they see that a student has, for example, like already reached out to their connections and established relationships, perhaps it's a club or organization on campus, or like I said, in their home community, that really demonstrates to the panelists that this student is serious and that they are going to carry this out when they get back from abroad. So it's nice because they can be as creative as they want with this project, but also feasible because a selection panelist wants to see that it's actually going to happen. And then the next essay, if they choose to apply for the Critical Need Language Award, is only 2,000 characters maximum. So in this essay, students will elaborate on how studying that critical need language relates to their academic and career goals, as well as motivations for improving language proficiency. So all of these questions, again, are on our website as well as in the application itself. And then last essay, if they choose to apply for this supplemental award, the STEM award essay is the shortest of the 5 and 1,000 characters or less. Applicants will be asked to summarize their STEM-related research component and how it will contribute to future academic and career goals. A successful applicant should demonstrate a strong motivation to their STEM field. So like I said, there's 3 required essays and then the 2 supplemental award essays. But the longest essay is the statement of purpose at 7,000 characters. So moving into selection criteria. Again, this is on our website as well. This is what selection panelists use to evaluate students' applications. So we always direct applicants to this page on our website so that they understand this is what's going to be used to, essentially score your application. So you can find more details on our website for each of these selection criteria. You'll see the first 4 in blue, and then the bottom 2 in gold that are solely related to the supplemental awards if a student decides to apply for those. But you have impact of program and destination on students' academic and career trajectory, community impact abroad and upon students' return home, academic preparedness, and diversity of background and experience. A lot of this information related to the selection criteria is found within the students' essays. So it's really important for students when they're working, whether it's with you all as their advisors, a parent, a professor on their essays, going back to the selection criteria and seeing if they're addressing everything in their essays. Okay, advisor roles. So I talked about the certification process a bit. So we have, and again, the purpose of the advisor certifications is to confirm the eligibility of a student, confirm that the student has provided correct information. So if you do not have a current advisor account in the Gilman portal, I'm more than happy to get you set up. I'll provide contact information at the end that you can reach out to me. But we have a study abroad advisor, again, just a label that doesn't necessarily have to be your title on your campus, but a study abroad advisor, let's say your student submits their application, you're going to go in and confirm. It's very quick, I will say. It's a quick process. You'll say yes or no, they're in good academic standing, they've provided the correct program information in their application, the program is credit bearing, although the student is not required to apply the credit back to their home institution for Gilman purposes. We are not concerned with whether or not credit transfers back home. And then the study abroad advisor will also provide the total cost of the program and confirm the travel advisory level. So it's just, again, going over the eligibility. It's pretty quick. Yes, 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 no, no, no. About 5 questions, and then you're more than welcome to leave comments as well. And the financial aid advisor role is solely about the Pell Grant status, or if it's a McCain applicant, the federal financial aid status. And they're just confirming, yes, the student is receiving it now, or the student's going to be receiving it while abroad, or no, they are not receiving it. A third advisor role you'll see in the top right corner there. Also important to note, non-certifying advisors, as the title implies, these advisors do not certify applications. However, they still have accounts in our system. They still have access to applications. They still are signed up for all of our regular, communications and newsletters and things like that. They have all of the same access points as the study abroad and financial aid advisor. They just don't certify applications. This is a very common role used within our system. A lot of times people who sign up for non-certifying advisor roles are promoting the Gilman program on their campuses. Perhaps they're working with students to, on their application essays, and they want to still receive updates on the program. So they receive all our mailings. They want to be invited to serve as a selection panelist. So all of these still great things, they just perhaps don't actually certify, which is totally fine. This can be anyone who works at a U.S. institution who's perhaps interested in furthering their campus involvement with the Gilman program. And then all Gilman advisors are eligible to participate in selection panels. So right now, we currently have the selection panelists interest form open. So if you have an advisor account and you log in, it'll be on your homepage, interested in selection panels. And then you can fill out a form indicating your availability and everything. We have that open until next Friday. And honestly, like just plugging that a little bit more, if you are brand new to Gilman, you will hear time and time again that the best way to become familiar with the program is to serve as a selection panelist. It gives you a look of behind the scenes, so to speak, of the program. You're going to be reviewing a large batch of student applications. You really get an idea of what a strong Gilman application looks like, what a strong essay looks like. I've always had advisors walk away from that experience learning something, regardless of whether it was their first time being a panelist or their fifth time. Like I said at the beginning, the program is constantly evolving. It's competitive. So serving as a panelist is a great way to sort of, stay updated with the program. So promoting the Gilman program. Here are just some tips and resources that advisors have had success with on their campuses. So of course, posting on social media, we know that that is typically where most college age students are getting their information. Information sessions are always great. Just making them aware of their resources. Many students aren't, necessarily aware of the fact that they have a, writing center they could be going to, or an advisor who's willing to work with them on their essays. And then on our website, that address you see there, we have a ton of outreach tools for you guys to use on your campus. We've got one-pagers, we've got an outreach presentation if you want to use that at an info session. We've got email templates that you can use to tailor to whether you're trying to contact students who might be eligible for Gilman, or you're working with your financial aid office to see potentially who's eligible for Gilman because they're receiving the Pell Grant. So I highly recommend exploring the outreach tool section of our website as well. And then this, again, just some ideas of where past Gilman advisors have had success with making connections with other offices on their campus. It's a lot of students who are eligible for Gilman may not necessarily even be thinking about study abroad. So they wouldn't be on their radar to go to a study abroad fair, for example, or a Gilman information session. So we've definitely had so many successful advisors work with a variety of offices on their campus to reach those students and sort of, get their foot in the door, at least, to make them aware of the opportunity. And then we have our various social media platforms. That's definitely where we will post all of your important reminders, announcements, things of that nature. If you have a Gilman advisor account, you'll also receive our monthly advisor newsletter, which is always full of a ton of great opportunities and reminders as well. And this is all on our website again. So those are our three main social media platforms that we have. An advisor Facebook group that's been a really great addition to the program in the last few years, where you all get to sort of bounce ideas off one another, ask questions, things of that nature. It's very collaborative. Okay, now that's enough of you guys having to listen to me. I want to turn over to our alumni ambassador, Darlene. Hi, Darlene.
Hi, thank you, Caroline.
Of course, I'll let you take it away.
Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Darlene Naridam. I am a senior international studies major and Spanish minor attending Spelman College, and I'm from Princeton, New Jersey. I serve as an alumni ambassador for the Gilman program. And I recently came back from my study abroad in Madrid this past spring. And I studied abroad to kind of enhance my Spanish speaking skills and also immerse myself in a different culture. Next slide, please. So Gilman kind of helped me study abroad in Madrid. During my time in Madrid, I took courses that kind of related to my international studies major. And I also volunteered with Education USA, which is a nonprofit that allows foreign students to find higher education and job opportunities in the United States. I really loved my time in Madrid. I learned a lot about the Spanish culture and economy. I also became more confident in myself and my navigation skills, and I practice my Spanish almost every single day. Next slide. So I actually learned about the Gilman program through my advisor. When she found out that I was studying abroad, she asked if I was Pell eligible and encouraged me to apply for Gilman. Throughout the application process, she gave me tips on writing my essays and even volunteered to read them over to ensure that I had a competitive application. I really did appreciate her help, because without her, I literally would not be speaking to any of you right now. So some advice that I would give advisors is to reach out to students interested in studying abroad, not just Gilman eligible students, because even if a student isn't eligible to apply for the program, they can still tell their friends, and also encourage other people to apply. That way you're getting more people, well, obviously you're getting more people to apply for the program, but you're also putting the word out for Gilman. Um, Also reach out to Gilman scholars, in your campus, or people who have graduated from your institution, because from my personal experience, I know that a lot of peers like to hear from other peers, even though it's important to learn from your advisor and get advice from your advisor. It's very beneficial to get advice from students who have already been through the process and can give advice from like the peer level. Um, Also have a week dedicated to study abroad, where probably each day is focused on like a specific aspect of studying abroad. So maybe students who are interested in study abroad can come and hear from like a panel of past students who did study abroad, or have a day dedicated to finance and study abroad to find scholarships and different ways students can fund for the study abroad program. Also have programs, or study abroad programs that can help with getting the word out for study abroad. So like having a fair where a lot of different study abroad programs can come and just tell students about the programs and what they have to offer. That way students know that there are many opportunities that can help them study abroad. And if like having not having the not having the financial means to study abroad was a problem, they can definitely like talk to the advisors and different people to find ways where it could not be a problem and hinder them from studying abroad. Another thing I found very beneficial was that my advisor had open office hours. So if there were students who did not want to go to the panel, or who were just comfortable having a one-on-one time with advisors, having that open office hours was very beneficial, to kind of talk over either finding this the right program for you, or in my case, it was the Gilman application. So she had office hours where I could just go in, and we would sit for probably an hour, and she would go over my essays with me. Yeah.
So Darlene, I know you mentioned, and I mentioned as well, that you're an alumni ambassador. If you could just share for a minute what that means, if people on the call have never heard of that.
Yes. So as an alumni ambassador, I kind of go and help with getting the word out about Gilman. So this past week, I was actually with my advisor, and I was part of a panel to help current students who are looking to study abroad next semester. And I gave them a little bit of advice, and kind of put myself out there to help them with their essays. I was also at Morehouse College at their study abroad fair, where I was able to recruit a lot of applicants. So hopefully they will be applying and reaching out for me to help them with the application. So that's just a little bit of what alumni ambassadors do, just like helping. You're like the middleman between applicants and advisors, where they can kind of get the word out with Gilman, kind of push them into the right direction of who they should talk to, and who they should or like ways to kind of figure out how to navigate the application. But yeah.
Yeah, totally. So the Gilman Alumni Ambassadors is a very small group. It's like less than 30 that are selected each year. So I don't want Darlene to sell herself short here, that it's a very competitive process that is open each year for students to apply. And then if they're selected, they serve for a year as an ambassador and representing the program publicly. But like Darlene mentioned, time and time again, we see that alumni are the best way to reach students. Students find it very encouraging to see a fellow peer at their, hopefully potentially their same institution that studied abroad that did it. It's very encouraging. It's totally different experience for me when I give outreach presentations on campuses, if it's just me or if I have an alum joining me. I can totally like see the difference in how students receive the messaging. That being said, if you're not sure if your student has any program alum, you can reach out to me. We can work with you on that. And then there's also the opportunity of finding Gilman alumni in the area. If you wanted to have someone come and give a presentation or something similar like this, where alumni ambassadors, maybe there isn't one locally for you, but they could do a virtual presentation like this. So it's really great to involve them just to give students that encouragement, and especially if it's institution focused and they can tell a student specifically, this is the office I went to, this is the advisor I worked with, these are the things I wish somebody would have done for me. All of those great things. Darlene, was there anything else you wanted to add about your application process, or maybe where Gilman is taking you now?
Um, I not about the application process, but specifically with where Gilman is taking me now, because there is a lot of benefits that come from being a Gilman scholar and being part of like this very big network. So I am currently applying for Fulbright. It is also part of IIE, and it's also like another opportunity to kind of be an ambassador in another country. So I am looking to do the ETA, which is the teaching assistant position. So yeah, hopefully I do get it and I'm able to continue my international journey. But yeah.
That's awesome. We love to hear for many, Gilman is sort of the gateway to Fulbright. So that's really great to hear, Darlene. Thank you so much for sharing your experience. So that's a great segue into the next slide. Gilman is, I like to say, so much more than just the funds, the check that the student receives when they're selected. When they become a Gilman Scholar, they become part of the Gilman community for life. So this slide just illustrates some of the opportunities and benefits for Gilman alum that they have access to. Excuse me. So the first being non-competitive eligibility, or NCE. So alumni of the Gilman program are eligible for 12 months of NCE hiring status with the federal government. Sorry, my throat. So basically, this is a benefit that basically allows Gilman alum to jump to the front of an applicant line when applying for federal jobs. It doesn't guarantee them a job, but it certainly can make it easier for them to get hired. The Gilman Scholar Network is the official site for Gilman Scholars and alumni to connect with one another, similar to what I was saying with the advisor Facebook group. This is a great way for alum to collaborate, as well as have access to exclusive job postings and Gilman events. And then the Alumni Ambassador Program, which Darlene touched on, they serve for 1 year as official representatives of the U.S. Department of State. They have a in-person training in DC for a few days. They get to go to the Department of State and visit our sponsors. So it's a really great networking opportunity for them. And then as the year goes on, so many outreach opportunities. Seminars and career workshops. These are events that are also available to Gilman alum to network and connect with one another. They're a great place to also learn about career opportunities. And then, of course, skill development. As we know, when you go abroad, you learn so many new skills, such as adapting to change, learning a new language, perhaps, how to communicate with others, and so much more. So we put, this is just, again, like I think Darlene's kind of already touched on some of these things, but some tips for applicants that we hear from alum when we ask them to share like what you think helped you be successful. And of course, they're always like, the best is to start early. So it's a lot of information that you have to coordinate for your abroad program, your financial resources. You have to work on your essays and completing the application. You have to get a transcript. So always starting early if possible. And can't emphasize enough working with advisors, using your resources on campus, having others proofread your essays. That's one of the biggest tips we give applicants, whether it's, you know, their mom, dad, professor, whoever. The more people that they can have review their essays, the better, because they are such a large portion of the Gilman application. And, you know, a selection panelist isn't going to meet the student in person, so they certainly don't want to make any assumptions about an applicant, and they can use their essays as an opportunity to get to know them. So the essays are where they can really demonstrate who they are, why they want to study abroad, and illustrate their passion and interest. Another essay tip, as you'll see on our website, as well as in the online application itself, we have several prompts for each essay. We tell students to answer every single one of those prompts. It's not a pick and choose type of situation. All of those prompts are there for a reason. That being said, there is not a particular format, like essay format, that the student has to follow. They don't have to answer those questions in that same order, but all of the content should be there in their essays. So that's definitely one of the first things I would ask a student when they've completed a draft of their essays is, have you answered all of the questions, or is a reviewer going to be able to understand and like logically follow your essay? And yeah, a couple more tips for the follow-on service project. One big tip is just thinking about the connections and relationships you already have. That can certainly give you, you know, a step ahead if you already have these resources that you can reach out to and say, hey, this is something I'm thinking about doing when I return from abroad, and working out those details. And then, of course, the classic, if you don't apply, you'll never get it. And there's no risk in applying. We always just tell students, just go for it. You can always apply again in the future if you're not selected. But now I will open it up for Q&A, if anybody has any at the moment.
Thank you, Caroline and Darlene, for that wonderful presentation. I do have a few questions that folks sent me, and I invite others to put them in the chat. Darlene, the first couple questions are actually for you, so you get to be in the hot seat. The first one is, someone was wondering what your project was when you returned, and another one that's related to that is, in your essays, how specific did you get? How firm were your plans before you went, and did they change?
Yes, so I'm actually still in the process of my follow-on service project, because you get 6 months from after you finish your study abroad year, and I came back in May. So I'm actually doing a magazine, and it's basically on how the entire process of my study abroad. And it's like a little of advice for students on my campus on how to navigate because for study abroad, my school has like a different application process. So like how to navigate that application, how I went about finding scholarships, what I did in Madrid, like how to budget on your study abroad. And so like my magazine is just like tips and tricks on how to like survive before and after your study abroad. And with my essays, I kind of did go into detail of what I wanted to do specifically. But my ideas kind of changed. So I wanted to do a video before of like the process of studying abroad, like this process is my entire process of studying abroad. but it just got a little overwhelming for me personally. So I just decided to focus on the magazine and use the pictures and just like advice from different people that I got and just like add it to my magazine.
That's great. The next question is also for you, Darlene, although Caroline, we invite you to share your wisdom as well. And it's similar in that folks are wondering about how specific or how clear those future life plans need to be, and the impact that study abroad has, knowing that it's always a transformative experience that changes you in ways you may not know. So what are best tips in helping students complete that part of the essay? Darlene, again, I'd be curious what you wrote or how it.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Can you please repeat that?
No, just your essay about what study abroad was going to mean for you and how it
Mhm.
fit into your larger life plans.
Yes. So, for me, I knew that I wanted to study abroad before I even got to college. Like that has been my entire dream to like make sure that I studied abroad during my college career. So, how I kind of worded it in my essay was that I made sure that I was like, this is what I wanted to do before I got here. And when I knew that I could do it here, I made sure that I made my dreams happen. And for my future, I knew that like I wanted to be in the international community. I wanted to make sure that I was immersed in different cultures. I knew a lot about the world because I knew that I'm not sure what I want to do in my career right now, but I do know that I want to do something that I'm able to kind of get a lot of different cultures and understand different languages. So I made sure that I emphasize that in my essays.
Caroline, any other best tips?
Yeah, so I mean, like Darlene mentioned, her follow-on service project shifted, which we see quite a bit. So there's definitely flexibility there if, because like you said, Carmen, it's transformative. They may go abroad and realize, whoa, I want to do something completely different for my follow-on service project. And that's fine. They'll have the opportunity to provide like a revised report for that. As far as discussing the goals and impact, basically in the statement of purpose essay, a reviewer wants to see why this country. Why are you choosing Italy and not Japan? They want to see a strong rationale for the country, the program. Why is it like just the more details the better. Doesn't mean you have to have your whole life planned out to apply for Gilman, but they just want to see that there's been careful thought and consideration in the program choice. And a lot of that can be, again, working with your advisor. What's the best option for you? Maybe it has to do with your major. Maybe it does have to do with your academic or career goals. Maybe it has to do with what you plan on doing after college. Maybe this is a program that fits better in your path to graduation based off of the time and length of the program. So things like that. There's definitely flexibility. We're not asking students to provide like a 20-year life plan in their essays.
That's probably for the best. Um,
Yeah.
I have 3 or 4 other questions, but again, I invite our colleagues to share your other questions in the chat. Some of our advisors are from very small institutions. So Caroline, you talked briefly about this, but could you touch a little bit more on what the time commitment is for the advisor if they're wanting to bring these opportunities to their students?
Yeah. So what's nice is we have the same timelines each year. So right now that deadline is coming up in about, I guess it's in exactly 4 weeks for the application, but that's doable in terms of a student submitting their application, because I will be honest, most of our applications come in the last couple of days anyway. So yeah, that October 5th deadline for the current application that is open. And then we'll open it up again in mid-January, and that'll be due in early March. So I know this is tricky with the fall. Some of you might already have your outreach events lined up and set in stone. Some of you might still be working through it. I think the biggest advice I would give is trying to just contact these students that are eligible for Gilman, or like Darlene said, would be interested in studying abroad. We certainly don't want to count them out for anything, but and the most success I've seen is when, and this depends on your institution, but if you're able to work with your financial aid office to identify those Pell recipients, I think that's a huge step forward. That's typically the barrier when it comes to Gilman with who's eligible and who can apply, is receiving that federal Pell Grant. So I think that would be like a major step. And yeah, that link that Carmen put in the chat, the outreach tools, has a template that we've drafted for financial aid to work with them on getting those Pell recipients.
That's great. Another advisor was curious for a little bit more information about the new STEM element. Could you talk a little, I know you'd walk through some of the essay questions, but how firm do research plans have to be? How well connected? Can you share any more insights that you have on the STEM piece?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I'll put the page to our website that is solely dedicated to STEM award. So we're very flexible with this. Much similar to the Gilman application itself, a student needs to solely be in the process of applying to their abroad program. They do not need to have been officially accepted yet. We understand with like the timelines of the Gilman application and then the timelines of student study abroad programs, it doesn't always line up. So we don't need a student to be officially accepted into their program in order to even apply for Gilman in the first place. However, if they are selected for Gilman at that point in time, they'll have to provide proof of acceptance, but that's, several months down the road. But for the research component, yeah, it does not need to be set in stone. We certainly want to be as flexible as possible with that. And it's quite, it's up to the student to demonstrate in their essay how it's STEM related. And then it's going to be up to the reviewer to determine if this is a student that's a strong candidate for the STEM award. So there's certainly a lot of freedom there, but it is a short essay, so it has to be pretty concise and to the point. But this is a brand new award, so we're going to certainly be taking all questions and concerns very seriously, and like other parts of the program, we will make changes as needed.
That's great. Seeing that we're almost at time, I think that's a great segue to my last question, which is how can folks contact you all if they want to learn more or they want to become a part of the official Gilman Advisor family?
Yes, thank you, Carmen. Perfect segue into my last slide for our contact information. So at the top, you'll see the email address and phone number that you can reach us at for anything you have along the way, as well as website links. If you are interested in having an account registered, please send me an email at that gilmanadvisors@iie.org, and I'll work with you on getting your account set up. And can certainly talk through details with you so that you're aware of all the capabilities of the Gilman portal. You can see, you can see your institution's track record with Gilman. You can see previous recipients and applicants, which is always, I think, really insightful when you're trying to kick off your outreach efforts. And then we have the other links for solely like our advisors page on our website, as well as the Gilman McCain Scholarship that I talked about. But yes, please reach out to us at any point, and we're happy to help.
Well, thank you. And thanks to everyone for joining us for our session today. I want to remind all of you about some of the other great APSIA webinars that we have coming up. As a way to continue to build out your knowledge of all of these different ways for you to bring public affairs, international service, all of those elements to your students. So we have a lot of content, and I just put the upcoming list for advisors in the chat. And then, as hopefully you all know, we have 15 to 20 different student-focused events coming up, particularly if you have students who are thinking about graduate school. And you'll see all of that tomorrow morning in my Every Friday blast. But I want to thank Caroline and Darlene for sharing their great wisdom with us, and we hope to see many more students studying abroad through these wonderful programs. Thank you, everyone, and have a great rest of your day. Brittany, we can stop recording.
Thank you so